Why didn't you discuss it with your mother? This is about the partner who's supposed to support you throughout the rest of your life. So I think the whole magic battle that we were shown that was supposed to take place is in reality just both of them talking to their parents about it at the same time, I wonder. But I don't see how, if we ignore all the magic things and just think about what it could mean in reality, how would it make sense that only one of them can be possible? That's what I'm confused about. That's right. She's the woman I want to spend the rest of my life with. And that's why I need to choose very carefully, right? How can you be so rash? Eva and George could be seen beneath the eaves of the guest house. George had revealed his engagement with Shannon. Eva's anger had exploded almost instantly. Oh, what a surprise. This had been more than George had expected, so he had responded with an ice-cold calm. Did you sleep with her? She told you she was pregnant to force you into a marriage, didn't she? How rude. I'm a strong believer in preserving chastity before marriage. Then why an engagement? I asked her. She accepted. What more could be needed? No, it's all wrong. Marriage isn't as easy as it seems in manga or whatever you're thinking of. What about her parents? Relationships between the two families? Are you some stray alley cat, or are you Ushidomiya George? How could you be so rash now, when you might even be selected as grandfather's successor? Why didn't you consult me? I'm consulting you right now. No, not consulting. Informing, I would say. Or reporting, yeah, I'm just reporting. I've never counted on being selected as grandfather's successor. In fact, I'd rather refuse if it did come to that. I want to build up my own country and castle from the empty wilds, just like father did. Now listen here. Do you realize how hard your father has worked to get here? That's not something you could duplicate just by imitating him. Do you understand how often he was saved by luck and coincidence before now? And he got through it because he had a wonderful life partner by his side, you. Sayo is the kind of person who will support me and make me be reborn as an even stronger man. You've praised me for becoming the adult I am, but that could never have happened without her. What? Are you listening? George? Are you George? Just let your mother handle this for now. Where's the shotgun? Cool your head and think very carefully while I shoot her. Shannon is the only person interested in you, right? Yumi-san, from that marriage meeting, really took a liking to you. First I've heard of it. I thought you knew. Her parents were also very impressed by you. If you really dream to build your own castle like your father, Ayumi-san is the one who'd really be able to help you, right? Do you intend to betray her feelings? There's nothing to betray. There was never any special relationship between Ayumi-san and me. We just had a marriage meeting and our parents got all fired up afterwards. You made us go out together several times, but we never even looked at each other. But so, how do I have to take this? This means your going out together consisted of staring at different walls in the same room? Ayumi-san is a well-bred, modest woman, isn't she? She just couldn't look at you because you're a man, and it would be embarrassing and ill-mannered. If you can't feel anything from her unless she looks at your eyes, then just tell her that. I'm sure she'll look at you in the future. You want me to marry Ayumi-san because it will benefit you. You aren't pushing that engagement for the sake of anyone but yourself. George, how can you say that? Have I ever failed to think about what's best for you? I haven't, have I? What is a parent's job? It's to look after the long-term welfare of their children, right? We've been looking down upon your entire future from a great height. And from our vantage point, we can see that you're letting your momentary youthful emotions lead you down the wrong path. That's why I'm saying this, even though I know you'll hate me for it. If I didn't care for you, we wouldn't be having this fight. I'd just tell you to marry whatever strange girl you like and leave you be. You hear me, George? Leave this to your mother. There's no need for you to meet with Shannon-chan anymore. We'll take care of everything for you. Don't worry, we won't do anything bad to Shannon-chan. Yet. After all this thanks to her that you've grown so much, we won't forget that. So leave the rest to us. George. Sometime during Eva's rage, tears had started to drip from her eyes. As though those tears had caused him to hesitate, George turned his back and sagged his shoulders. Even George is a child of man, after all. Though he understands that marriage requires nothing more than the love of two people, he can't get over his desire for his parents' acceptance, and so he is trapped between the tears of the mother who has always helped him and the fiancé he chose. Or is he? Okay. I think that's about enough. Is it George who said that? Huh? All my life, you've done a great job raising me, and I'm grateful for that. When I have children and become a parent, I'll become a parent like you. I'll be the kind of parent most worthy of respect in the entire world, one who can truly fight for his children's sake. George. With his back still towards her, George threw away his umbrella and slowly stepped out from beneath the eaves into the rain. Man. That's kind of like... Did he... I don't know, just... kind of fleshy. Then he slowly turned around. It was, without a doubt, the familiar face of Eva's beloved son. However, he was now his own man, self-controlled and independent enough that their blood connection might be forgotten. I think it's about time. For what? I think it's about time you learn to let go of your son, Mother. From now on, let's stop talking as mother and son. I am George, you are Eva. Let's forget that you're my parent and let our true intentions ring clear. The reason you want to choose the person I marry is for financial reasons, public appearances, and so that you can look good in that continuing quarrel between you and your siblings. You have no other reason. You'd do well to just give up and admit it now. I really like this face of him. I don't know why, but somehow it's, I don't know, the way it's drawn is really, brings across, gets across that emotion that he's probably having right now. I'm about to... probably also because he usually is so calm and reserved, it has more impact. If you have a character who's angry all the time anyway, a face like that would not be very impactful or meaningful or like different from usual. But because he's such a calm guy usually, it's probably has more of an impact as well. I'm about to share my point of view with you. I suggest you do the same. After all, you will lose. No traces of love or respect for his mother remained in George's eyes. There was only a frigid glare as he gazed ruthlessly down at the witch who was trying to bind his future. George, why are you looking at your mother like that? Because I'm not looking at my mother. All I see is a wall, a trial, that's standing in the way of the future I'm trying to grasp. You're only human. I know that you have dreams and ambitions and that you're still chasing after those. And I think that's a wonderful thing. We also know how hard it is for a person to chase their dreams without giving up. So I'll need to inherit your wonderful strength. I've learned a lot from my parents, my friends, and Sayo, and I have grown. And the last thing I've learned, acquired and perfected, is the real Shiromiya George. Now I'll overcome the final barrier, you. What? If I had disappeared? The pouring rain landed evenly across the ground everywhere. No, it was blocked very slightly in one place. However, there was no one there. Standing on the ground isn't the only way to block the path of the rain. There's more reverb? Hold on. But why? I don't think I have any reverb effect on. I'll say something and see what it sounds like in the stream. I'll say something and see what it sounds like in the stream. You turned it on. Aaron! No! What have you done to us? Everybody point your fingers at Aaron and say, big no-no. Alright, standing on the ground isn't the only way to block the path of the rain. Then, could it be? Oh no, she turned into that. Sure, it's good for people to let their true feelings show every once in a while. I'll speak my mind too. So why don't you just lay it all out as well? So is the witches appearing basically just mean people showing their true feelings? In the rain-filled sky with the moon that shouldn't have been visible behind her was the golden witch of the future who had finally obtained everything of the Yoshidomiya family. Even the drastic change in his mother's appearance didn't faze George. On the contrary, he seemed to be moved by her boldness. Because his mother had honestly and truly displayed her true nature, this way I can confidently show her my true self. Here we go, Mother. Here we go, Eva. This is my first step towards escaping from your shackles.
First step?
With that first step, he felt something odd beneath his feet. He knew that the sticky sensation, different from that of mud, represented his mother's arrogance, trying to prevent him from making that first step.
I used to read to you all the time when you were little, didn't I?
Do you remember your favorite story, Journey to the West? That takes me back. That's probably the first fantasy I really loved. Sun Wukong, the Monkey King, wanted to become a god and was tested by Buddha. That's totally the typical stuff you should read to a child. If you can jump free from the palm of my hand, I will acknowledge your wish. Then Sun Wukong managed to reach what he thought was the end of the world and found 5 pillars standing there, only to discover that they were Buddha's fingers and that he still hadn't left Buddha's hand. And you're likening this to my first step, me declaring my intention to break free from you.
Your resistance, your conflict, your anguish and self-restraint and everything else. All of it is a road I once traveled down. This first step of yours is so trivial that when compared to my life, it'll just get gobbled up.
How long are you gonna look away? If only you'd just look at your feet! At George's feet, on the pitch-black earth, soaked by the pounding rain, was what appeared to be a slightly red sash that glowed ominously and blocked George's first step. It was deep, vicious, and held George's foot in place. From Eva's perspective, as she gazed down from the sky, it looked like a vast red spiderweb that radiated out with George at the center. That's right. This is me. This is me being tied down by countless studies and raised for the sake of your ambitions.
No, that's not it. Let me put it so you can understand. I'll show you.
And then you'll realize the truth. The vast red spiderweb on the ground scooped up George as easily as scooping scum out of a pot. Then it lifted him into the air like a deer caught in the net and swung him about. Laughing insanely, Eva was as innocent and cruel as a grade schooler happily swinging about a bag filled with her gym clothes.
Go. Come on, try to remember, okay? What happened on Tuesdays?
I remember. That was piano lessons. I still cringe whenever I hear Stuck on the Cat.
You did violin in kindergarten. That's the sort of instrument you'd expect smart kids to play. But you didn't seem to have the talent, so we switched you over to piano.
Hey, what's that supposed to be?
Then, do you remember what you did on Wednesdays?
I remember. That was the day I had cram school. That was so far away and a real pain to have to travel to.
And Thursdays? That was the day for supplemental lessons. You were just terrible at subjects with memorization, weren't you? You could apply your knowledge, but were horrible at learning by rote. A classic he can do it if he tries, kid.
That word stung. Those are the most annoying words a kid can hear at a parent-teacher conference.
You can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
That's a British aphorism, isn't it?
Making you get and stay motivated was the hardest thing to do.
George was bound hand and foot by the bright red spiderweb, reduced to the witch's plaything. She innocently swung him around and smashed him about, all with an insane laugh. Again and again.
Do you remember what you did on Fridays?
Of course. As far as after-school lessons go, that one was pretty unique. A school you go to with your parents can be trying in more ways than one.
Don't buy your child a fishing rod, go fishing with him.
You certainly like British education theory, don't you, Mother?
Well, That school was hard on us parents too, but for you it was the most effective one. The monthly fee was high, and it was a pain to have to spend Friday nights there every week. But it did more for you than anything else. That's when I realized kids don't grow unless their parents watch over them. If children are sprouts, then parents are the sun. No plants will bud, and no flowers will bloom without the sun.
Still bound hand and foot, George was thrown, slammed and smashed. He could do nothing. He was still like son Wukong, unable to leave the palm of his mother's hand. However, since he wouldn't surrender, he could still show resistance at any time.
And what about Saturdays, huh?
That's when the tutor came.
He came to our house, which made it much easier, right?
It was a pain having to invite some other person. Wait, who's talking now? Okay, I guess that was George. It was a pain having to invite some other person to my own private room every week. I hated the smell of sweat left behind when he left, so much that I can still remember it.
He was a wonderful teacher who drove a scholarly attitude into you.
His monthly fees were on par with a lawyer's consultation fee, and it was well worth it. Then on the Sundays and Mondays that followed, I didn't have any extra school and could finally rest. How ironic. Have those extra classes from Tuesday until Saturday helped me down all this time? I really am just like son Wukong.
Yeah, if you're arrogant enough to think that you can escape from the palm of my hand, you'll be crushed by Buddha's 5 mountains.
I'll be right back. I'm just hearing some weird noises. Okay, it was just a monster.
Yeah, if you're arrogant enough to think that you can escape from the palm of my hand, you'll be crushed by Buddha's 5 mountains.
Son Wukong, who wanted to become a god, was crushed by the 5 mountains of fire, water, wood, metal, and earth, and sealed away. I thought Buddha was nice. That doesn't sound nice. These are the 5 elements that the days of the week, Tuesday through Saturday, are named after in Japanese. Oh yeah, that's true. Only now did George, who had always admired son Wukong, recognize his greatest of ironies.
Just like son Wukong, you need to reflect upon and be punished for your arrogance. If you can show that you're willing to reform yourself, I'll release you.
It's not being released, it's brainwashing.
There's no need to think about anything. Why not just leave everything to Mama? I'll decide everything for you. That's the best kind of life for you. I found the most intellectual woman in the world, willing to devote herself to you entirely. I'll arrange for all of your successes and even prepare the roads leading to them. And eventually you will be chosen for the highest honor in the Ushinomiya family, the position of successor of the headship. Only then will you begin your true life.
The first step? Don't make me laugh. You still haven't even been... oh, still her.
First step? Don't make me laugh. You still haven't even been born yet. This isn't my web that you're caught in. You're still inside my caring, nurturing womb.
George was slammed against the ground over and over. It was a heartless atrocity, unlike anything one would expect a blood-related son to receive. However, in Eva's eyes, perhaps even this was a sign of love for her precious son. The human-shaped lump of flesh wrapped in the red bag was slammed over and over, then thrown high into the air, where it was caught in a massive spiderweb in the sky, still covered with fresh blood. While he hung there as though crucified, George didn't even twitch, even if he had some power to resist remaining to him. The red web pinning him there would have held even that in check. The rain, which had been falling non-stop since the beginning, quietly tormented and pitied George.
Be sealed by the 5 mountains and cool your head. I'm not telling you to stop because I think Shannon-chan is a bad kid, okay? She's a great girl, the one who gave you the chance you needed to grow up. However, an ill-considered engagement is a different matter entirely. The issue has nothing to do with some failing on her part. Understand that.
So, looks like it's going really well for George.
Blame the problem, not the peer, right? That's another British saying. I really did raise you to be a smart kid. No, I am raising you. You're still inside me, right? You need to be nurtured a little longer. Okay, that's enough punishment, so apologize to your mother.
The spiderweb released George reluctantly. Then it threw him to the ground beneath the cloudy sky. Thank you, Mother. It was all George could do to get up on his hands and knees. Though he wiped the mud away and stood his ground, he still couldn't raise his head. Everything you've done so far, you've done for me, haven't you? Thank you. Thanks for everything.
That's right. You must hate me now, but one day you'll thank me. I'm sure you'll understand how much I loved you.
Being bound by all those extra classes from Tuesday until Saturday was a sign of how hard you worked to raise me to be an excellent man.
That's another British phrase. To cover a child in blessings is the greatest education of all.
Thank you. In return, I'll give you a British saying, fuck off. No.
What's that?
Even if you strike all the trees in the forest once with an axe, you will not fell a single tree.
Huh? And what does that mean?
Maybe this one is clearer. To spend too much time in studies is sloth. Francis Bacon. The man, drenched in mud and blood, straightened his crooked glasses and slowly stood up. Though he was covered in filth, his appearance had a divine quality to it. Something that could only appear in a self-controlled man, not one who had merely been dozing in his mother's amniotic fluid. I cannot count the number of things I've learned from Sayo. She taught me courage and chivalry, how to be ambitious and witty and humorous, and just a little stylish. It's ironic. Almost all of the things you say are so wonderful about me didn't come from you at all.
Are you still? Time to get back in mother's womb. I'll nurture you in a sea of warmth once more.
As Eva howled, a bright red spiderweb appeared at George's feet once more and tried to scoop him up into the air again. However, at that instant, a powerful magic circle could be seen in the area surrounding George for just a moment. Faster than he could be scooped up by the spiderweb, George jumped, and with a sharp kick of the heel and a magnificent forward flip, he cut the shackles of that spiderweb apart. What? That smooth movement proved that he had possessed the power to escape from those shackles all along. He had willingly allowed himself to be bound by that web. Everything I owe you for what you've done. I've paid back now with pain. Thanks to that, I think I'll finally be able to leave the nest for good. You really do need these every now and then. Fights between parents and kids.
George, why must you disobey me so completely, and with a little girl like that?
It looks like you really do need to let go, Mother. Maybe it's about time.
Time for what?
It's about time. Time to start fighting back. The curtain of spiderwebs that Eva shot out in defense were all too slow. George weaved through them in one instant, and the next he was right before her eyes. Then he kicked her so hard in the face her fucking head exploded and brains spread her everywhere. No, sorry. Eva jumped out of the way of a kick that would have knocked her feet out from under her, then blocked the second half of George's double roundhouse with a high kick of her own. I guess there's one thing I can thank you for teaching me.
What day of the week was that?
It's the martial arts training we focus on during long breaks from school.
I'm glad, George, to hear you're grateful for at least one thing. Your mother's happy.
Eva's swift feet flashed like lightning. Low, mid-level attack. As George's head fell forward, she caught it in both hands as though she was about to smash it against the ground. It was then met with Eva's knee as it rose like a bolt of lightning from the earth. So now George's head exploded.
You should have learned Muay Thai too. It would have been more fun to have learned with you.
You're right. I never had more fun than when I was learning martial arts with you. The witch of martial arts, really though.
Then right now is when we get to have the most fun. Isn't it fun, George, isn't it?
Is it fun to play with your son like this, Mother?
Yes, it is. You're my precious son, and I love you lots and lots inside my womb.
Can you please not say that?
I even love it when you kick in there.
Understood. But this kick's coming from the outside of your belly. George's knee buried itself into Eva's abdomen. An instant before she felt the pain of that fierce attack, Eva watched her son's kick with a proud smile and then vomited. For real. You're getting on in years, Mother. Maybe it's about time you held back on wearing childish clothes like that.
George.
Her chin still covered in vomit, Eva looked up at George in twisted anguish. She could see how pathetic her face was by her reflection in his glasses. Both you and I need to leave our childhood days behind. So long, Mother. The fierce lightning and rain made time freeze. George's beautiful cape had stopped an inch from Ava's chest. However, the power of the red magic circle surrounding George had already pierced Ava's body. Though he had stopped without hitting her, blood poured out of Ava's back. No wound had been left on her chest, but her heart had been punched through. Eva slumped backwards and landed in a puddle with a splash. There were no convulsions. Her life had been ended without leaving her even an instant to writhe about in pain. I know you're somewhere over there, Garp. As he straightened his glasses, George spoke to the rose thicket behind him. Then a pitch-black hole opened in the air there, and Garp jumped out.
Impressive. Even considering that it was before her ascension, I can't believe you managed to defeat Eva Beatrice.
I thought you'd be there. Thanks for not interfering. I'm glad we were able to keep it between mother and son.
But of course, I wasn't here. You summoned me just now.
It doesn't matter either way. I have something to ask of you.
Is there any reason I should listen?
Will you refuse to listen? With his back still facing her, George reset his glasses. The threat in his voice held the solemn presence of a king who could control demons. That presence made Garp gulp, and she licked her lips before bowing respectfully to his back.
I like hot guys, but I like monarchs even more. Your voice is my command, O Demon King.
I want you to lay her body to rest in a place fitting for a woman who admired the head of the Ushidome family, and who lived her life with the misguided dreams of that position. What, so you fucking killed his mother just now?
So, in Kenzo's study?
No. The VIP room will do fine. That never-opened VIP room on the second floor of the mansion.
Ah, that room. As you wish, Your Majesty.
Garp approached Eva's corpse and lightly tapped the ground with her right heel. When she did, a large hole opened up, swallowed both Garp and the corpse, and closed. After a while, a small hole opened in the air, and the staff Eva always carried, marked with the one-winged eagle that symbolized the Ushidome family's leader, was spat out into a puddle, because the corpse would no longer have any use for it. George slowly approached that staff, and stepped down hard on the tip. When he did, the staff spun violently into the air, and after passing by the blue moon that honored the Demon King, it flew into George's outstretched hand. The instant he grasped it, another fierce lightning bolt landed nearby, and by the time the flash disappeared, the staff he held had become a spray of gold butterflies and vanished. It was as though George had crushed the staff out of existence. And now I've finished my part. I'll let someone else have a turn.
I can't believe you attacked your own mother.
It's the person who loves you first in this world, and the last one you have to separate yourself from. That's what it means to leave your home. This is the courage I need to show to take Sayo as my wife.
George-sama. Bravo, Shiromiya George. An excellent start.
Even though it was just within the game, even though it was just a piece, I didn't like having to kill my mother. However, that was the trial you set me, so I saw it through. He stared at the two demons. The demons looked at each other, then showed their surprise with their no familiar exaggerated gestures.
Wonderful! Wasn't that splendid, Zipa? Indeed it was, Furufuru. George Code's determination is the real deal. It seems I've misjudged you. Please accept my apologies.
George chose not to go along with this theatrical conversation. He just quietly looked down upon the game board, found the piece representing his mother, which was right next to his, and tipped it over. This was the trial that Zebra and Furufuru had set for him, so that the love of the pair will stand true for the life of one person by your own hands. It was similar to that trial during Beato's games, where they were given 3 options as part of a test to select the next family head. However, a pair of lovers will never abandon each other's lives, so they were automatically left with the option of sacrificing the life of another instead. In fact, it was merciful that they only had to choose the life of one person other than themselves instead of all, and besides, it only meant taking those lives as pieces on the board. For the versions of themselves to whom the game board was the only world, this was a tragic paradise, a parasite. But to those who stood around the game board in this witch's smoking room, it was nothing more than a movement of the pieces representing George's will to overcome his parents. However, the fact remained that the demons had ordered them to take these lives, even if it was just within one of those endless fragment worlds. George appeared to have distanced himself from the events on the demon's game board, but Jessica still seemed to resist the idea of stealing another person's life, even if it was only their life as a piece on the game board, whatever that means.
Have you been scared stiff? No, the Beatrice that Battler's sudden desires would not be shaken by the likes of this. Well then, who will undergo the next trial? Please choose the next victim, it doesn't matter who. Please name the next challenger, any one of you may go. If no one speaks up,
That means I win, doesn't it?
yeah, that's right. If so, congratulations for shooting me at George. The key that leads to successful love between you and the one you cherish. Well, no, we want to probably grab.
Hold it right there. As the demons delightedly named George as the victor, they were interrupted by the next challenger.
Jessica, son.
I'm up next. Okay, I'll do it. I'll show you that I'm serious about Kan and Kun.